Hello everyone, as you can see by my bandana as well as my grooviness, I am 70s Gypsy / Fortune Teller minion Michelle. And today, for this very peaceful and enjoyable last Monday that will be in the month of October and hence Halloween month, I am going to be addressing the film Young Frankenstein. As you can see, I would place this film in particular in a category, not just because it came out in the 70s. No, not just that. This film has, I think, a lot to offer and is actually rather unique compared to a lot of other Halloween films, and I thought it would be nice to end on sort of a more happy, upbeat note as this film sort of presents itself as. So without further ado, let me discuss this timeless comedy. This film revolves around who else? Frankenstein. Not just the monster, but Frankenstein, who is the person who ends up making the monster. But he happens to be Dr. Friedrich Frankenstein, played by Gene Wilder. As many of you probably know, this film is fairly well noted for Gene Wilder being as the center of the film, and it also, I think, is one of the films people remember him for, similar to how they remember him for Willy Wonka in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, excuse me. I get those titles mixed up. So, what does this film, though, revolve around? Well, the plot's fairly simple. Gene Wilder's character, Dr. Friedrich Frankenstein, realizes that he inherits a estate that belonged to his great-grandfather. And basically the film revolves around him going to that place and eventually getting re-inspired by his grandfather. And as a result, sort of shenanigans end up happening because Friedrich Frankenstein is a physician and he comes from sort of a long line of those who have focused within the medical field, and sort of he gets sort of inspiration from the findings that his grandfather had and in his estate that he ends up inheriting. So he ends up sort of creating a bunch of shenanigans for himself, and those shenanigans you probably can see and guess where they're going. But the way the film presents itself, I think, is rather unique, and you do sort of see what circumstances end up leading to another and where the conflicts end up arising once Gene Wilder's character, Friedrich Frankenstein, but he likes to be called by that different name, even though he kind of still is considered Frankenstein. But there is this sense of making this character, Gene Wilder's character in particular, rather unique because, again, he is inspired to be this great scientific mind, but at the same time, he is sort of kind of not willing to associate with his past or with those that sort of came before him who were also inspired by science. So you do sort of see the kinds of dilemmas that he has sort of in the beginning of the film, and it sort of carries on itself throughout. What is interesting about this film is that it tries to present itself as the traditional horror films, because the film is actually throughout black and white. But even though it does have the kind of traditional formula of Frankenstein sort of going out and ultimately creating something, it presents itself through complete satire and comedy. So throughout the piece, it's designed to make you laugh, and even though there are little bits in there that are just kind of there to sort of move the plot forward and have elements that we might traditionally associate with as creepy, its overall presentation is designed on laughs. And there are a lot of laughs to be had in this film. There's a lot of innuendo. There's a lot of things that are, again, more generated for an adult audience as opposed to children, I'd say. But I think still children can sort of enjoy it similar to Ghostbusters. I'm sure Ghostbusters took a lot of inspiration from this film in particular. For its style, for its kinds of characters. You'll see Gene Wilder's character is kind of like a little bit similar to Bill Murray, but again, you do see that he does have this really huge passion and drive. Unlike Bill Murray's character, who's just a little bit like, yeah, okay, just get a job done. There is something specific to Friedrich wanting to pursue this endeavor that he ultimately pursues once he is at the estate that he inherits. And you'll sort of see that there's this sort of side plot with him and his love interest, and then you'll sort of see how that kind of gets all out of whack and whatnot. And you'll sort of see how the Frankenstein monster ultimately plays a role within the film. And it's all designed to be funny. It's designed to be goofy. It's designed to be a not only just a satire, but a clever satire. Sometimes it's difficult to pull off a satire, especially when you're trying to do a satire that sort of revolves around something that we consider rather traditional. And I think this definitely knew how to satirize the older horror films. And I think this one did it very well. And I think it still seems to hold up to that standard today, because it knows how to present a different take to its audience. And I think that's why I would put this film in particular in the classic category. Not only for its great acting, its great story, but for the way it presents itself creatively within that comedic setting. It just sets itself up really well, and there's a lot of little laughs here and there, and I would say the humor is very British, at least from what I can tell. It feels very British. But again, I can understand why sometimes the certain kind of comedy that it presents may not work for some. But I think overall, despite this inconsistency that that kind of goes throughout the film, when you see like kind of just how ridiculous it goes, you can still forgive it because it's trying to be that kind of a film. It's not designed to be fairly based within plot, as just so much comedic moments between the characters and how that sort of relates into the plot. And that's how it becomes entertaining. So it's definitely, I think, a film worth recommending this holiday season if you enjoy these kinds of films. But I wish you all a peaceful Halloween, and I hope to be back. I don't think I will be, but hopefully we'll all be able to have a good end to this month of Minions. But we'll see what ends up happening. I don't know what Evil Twin Michelle has in store for us all. But thank you so much for watching, and goodbye and peace.